Right.
Dennis is off again. Okay, good. Dennis on his front page, and we're focused in on what skill?
Tennis.
But what skill are we talking on your competencies? Which
sorry, I went with meta-thinking.
Meta-thinking skills, okay, good.
So,
right.
Basically, through this unit, when we were going through our core competencies, I begin to start, thinking about what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Which was, I always liked, but very interesting to me. So the rationale especially was like, why did I decide to do this? What are my processes? Who am I looking towards?
Yeah,
That makes sense. Or
I like it. Unique to Tennis Canada, unique to Boston. That's way better.
Yeah.
Good.
And so I mentioned that, I think in the reflection, that's something that was very, maybe not in this one because I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
But that's something that was very new to me, thinking about what I'm thinking about, rather than just, because I've done a lot of coaching and a lot of youth group stuff in my church.
Yeah.
And like, I would just see, well, that worked. Or I'd talk to another leader, like, that didn't work.
Right.
And then just change it like that. But I was never like actually processing why and all these things. Almost the theory behind everything.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's always been, that's been very fun.
And it was clear, as I told you, I noticed the difference from lesson 1 to lesson 4.
Yeah.
And the movement, and in particular Mallory, who's in that picture there, she was so quick to get back to home base after hitting the ball.
Yeah.
It was very clear. Very clear to her that this was a very important thing to do. Right? And she had learned to basically cover the area and the ball's going into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So then my meta thinking was, now how do we actually put that into a lesson? Which again, let's go to my next page, I think.
So what you would say now is you're probably going from developing towards proficient, you're starting to be aware of how to think about your practice, and how to start applying theories and ideas like Mostyn's is a theory, but it's an implied theory around decision making and how we give more up causes more learning, right?
Yeah. I've thought about it a lot, but now I'm to the point where it's like, now how do I apply this?
Right. Cool.
This is my lesson sequence.
Nice.
So that's even made more clear. I put up, this is our learning design.
Yeah.
Again, the competencies and big ideas and standards. And this is a Google Doc that we made to like drafts. What do you actually want? I just put this up because I looked at what are ideas of tennis.
Yeah.
So really high expectations going into it.
Now, was you taking that nicely from the Tennis Canada stuff? That's good.
Yeah. And then tried to fit in those ideas somewhere into our
color-coded
our lessons.
Oh, I see. All right.
And there's definitely a transition from day one where, we started like, let's try to get them through all these things and thinking very specifically about it, or at least we're thinking specifically, and we can get them working towards
covering it.
Yeah. And then day 2 was just like all the basics again: recovery, setup,
repetition,
just
cursive.
Yeah. So we misassessed.
Kids don't learn by being told.
Not at all. And so there's a huge difference in what we started with and then what we ended with, even including how to deal with kaise.
The individual students.
Yeah.
Who have difficulties that are beyond tennis.
Yes. Absolutely. So that's interesting.
So what do you focus on here? Which other skill? Go down the bottom. So what skill did you go down the bottom?
This?
Your competency.
Oh, I see.
Your personal reflection. So this one was focused in
also meta thinking. Or is it supposed to switch?
Well, yeah, you're meant to diversify a little bit.
Okay. So I can say collaboration then.
So we go to the top. Because I've been very helpful. Planning skills, theorizing skills. Because I think a theorizing skill is implicit in what you're saying. Because even when you're saying meta thinking skills. So what, if you would say, how are you theorizing the learning of tennis now? Because you're going to start with the game. Why would you start with the game? Why is that more important than just programming those skills?
I would say because, again, as we learned with our first lesson, they just want to play, right? They're so keen. As soon as you say grab a racket,
Right.
and so...
But they can't play.
Yes. So you give them an option of like, we're going to play with this and reduce all of the ball, the court size, the tennis racket, so that they can participate, and then let them play a very modified game.
Yeah.
So again, without the racket, you're on a court, you have a tennis ball, you're just throwing it.
Yeah.
This is the idea of tennis. And then back up. Now here's a racket. This is how you would a very basic play with a racket and play it over.
Right.
And now we go back in the game, try with the racket now this time.
Right. And what was cool, because this is what you described as a constraints-led approach.
Right.
Varying the constraints to enable the play.
Yeah.
They bought into snap catch really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I can see them intentionally trying to do snap catch, intentionally dropping the ball in front to hit it in the impact zone, they are now seeing this as playing tennis.
Yeah.
Because they are intentionally hitting it to a space,
right.
but they've reduced the time so they can keep the ball in play.
Yeah.
And they can manipulate the object.
Yeah.
Totally. And then whenever they wanted to, they could just hit it straight, and sometimes they work. So what I got to see in that fourth lesson is you're theorizing constraint-led approach, but actually they were buying into this as play.
Right.
We are playing tennis.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Right? And so that's what you're reflecting here. So I always focus in on edit this when you get back.
Okay.
It isn't meta thinking, but it links to the front page. But now you're theorizing what theory you're drawing on to help them learn. And it's game-based,
right.
constraints-led approach,
right.
informed by play theory. That every kid wants to play, but you've got to create an environment where play can happen.
Right. So you want me to put this on the other one, and then
meta's on the other one, and this will be your theorizing skills.
Right.
Because that works beautifully, how you explain it,
right.
and for the evidence you're showing.
Yeah.
And the transition you went from embracing the tennis calendar, but then realizing that it was more difficult than just telling kids to do that, and then trying to use those concepts in order to create play environments.
Yeah.
And your lessons were going from game to practice, back to game to practice. You were going back and forth. You were trying to develop that.
Yeah, and sometimes when we didn't go game practice and we went practice game, like you could clearly see just like or like almost a dead eye or like I really just want to be like playing. And even Jalem and I were like planning these awesome lessons, but with the mindset like let's work on this and then see if they apply into a game. Where it's like let's play a game, work on what they didn't do well, and then apply it back, which is like
theorizing. You're doing it. You're theorizing, and there's a lot of you probably got that in the motor learning. There's a lot of support for that approach, but it's complicated to find that opening game.
Yeah.
That shows them what they need to work on, but doesn't overwhelm them because they can't play at all.
Yeah.
So you've got to find that fine balance. So that's this complex, the sweet spot.
Yeah.
That's where all the games you create, and then the more kids get into it, they actually help you as well.
Yeah.
Because they start modifying it themselves as they play, and then because you start to use modification by adaptation, kids start comparing each other.
Right.
And it's more about I've earned the right to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I'm doing this, therefore I'm going to be challenged more by this happening.
Yeah.
And it's just seen as part of the game. But then we get more and more often the sweet spot because different abilities now can play with each other.
Totally.
And that I find is perfect if you can get that happening. Because then the rest of your life, if my partner can't play tennis, I just modify the environment and we're playing tennis together.
I've even been thinking about that with me and my friends. We're like we're pretending like we're pros and we actually like are very bad. I was like, let's just go buy these red balls and like we could like everything's the same, but just like this, so it slows it down and we can actually play and like.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Get the dynamic game happening.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to come back for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Next one.
And this is our like the breakdown of the lessons themselves.
Yeah.
So lesson.
Which one of these did you go for? Are you still meta thinking? Which of these three?
I would say pedagogical.
Yep, pedagogical skills, right? Losing off some teaching styles, starting to apply those.
Yeah, so being able to, throughout the lesson and depending on the situation that I'm in, be able to switch what skill I'm using.
Right.
So in lesson 1, it was a lot of like introductory stuff. So very inclusive and making sure everyone is participating. So as we're not, putting kids on the spot and anything like that. So started with our names and simple throw catch, no rackets or anything, and then ended with the castle game as another introduction to movement on the court with a racket. And what was my reflection?
So take me down the bottom. Go right down to the bottom.
This is
down here.
Oh, I see.
Because it presents very well. It's a great page to show detail in planning, thought in process, professional, right? So this, as a page, is really, even though I don't read it, I'm going, he's naming students, he's got, all right? It really shows a commitment to planning for every kid's learning,
right,
and creating conditions for them to learn the whole sport.
Right.
So that, just by eyeballing it, immediately you can tell me, and I see the evidence, right?
Yeah.
So go down to the bottom. So your personal reflection on this one. What did you aim at as your? Did you put one up?
I don't think I did. I think I had my reflections all in the.
So what would it be? Because you've got to identify in a competency and in a particular skill.
I think as a competency.
So pedagogical, you're going for pedagogical skill.
Yeah.
And it's within that competency, if I look at pedagogy skills. So this is the one where implementing pedagogy context appropriate sound practice.
Right.
You articulate it really well.
Right.
Making practice for learning, planning for learning, instructional strategies and approaches to engage all students in relevant personalized learning. So this is how well you are starting to create that type of.
I would say I'm at the back end of developing because I'm aware of the teaching styles.
Yeah.
Like previously, it's a lot of the command and practice.
Yeah.
As everyone else. But then once I learned about the other ones, I can see them in my practice.
Yeah.
And then try to extend it. But again, having like almost maybe I'm not like not different definition of proficient, but like proficient in the I guess the application or even like if I notice a situation where it's like this is not working, I don't tend to like switch or like alter my practice.
But you are starting to ask a question and sending kids the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And you are asking the question. So why did I pick out so and so? What was he doing really well? Convergent, right?
Yeah.
Or an open-ended question where where do you go after you send the ball?
Yeah.
Right? Why?
Yeah.
Right? And then you start that process.
Yeah.
Is what you're starting to do because I actually heard you do that.
Yeah, and so I feel like the command, practice, and convergent were like my core coaching and teaching styles, and then the other ones I'm like, they're really good. I'm just like I don't use them.
Yeah. So now you got to think about how to do reciprocal, self-check.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then how to get a guided discovery where you've got a set of questions to get out an outcome.
Yeah.
Which is even with home base, it's home base, but then home base changes as the court gets bigger.
Right. Yeah.
Because it becomes diagonals, right?
Yeah.
So then home base depends if I'm at the net or I'm at the baseline.
Yeah.
Right? So it gets quite complex, but the concept of home base is in the head.
Yeah.
Now, why would you vary it?
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And that's the guided discovery part, right? Because that's taking it into a more tactically challenging environment as the space increases and the ball gets quicker.
Yeah. I like guided discovery almost in the same sense as conversion because it's like I know what the answer is, but if you figure it out yourself,
you'll know it better.
Way better for you.
Yeah. So what you're going to do then is just tighten these up so that it refers to that.
Right.
And I know you're locating here because what I'm trying to do is always guide you towards, I making it simpler. These are all important, but focus in on that.
Yeah.
But it does impact on the other two as well.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So go to the last page. But the page presents really well.
Okay. Cool.
And it shows me, if I was looking at you, okay, this guy, visual, good reflection, progression, has theory, is changing his practice, is implementing things he's learning. Great. That's the things you want to communicate in any interview.
Right.
So they don't want the finished product. They want something that's in process of emerging.
Right.
Always.
Yeah. I think for this one, I went with reflection.
Good.
Because that's in here. So it's hard to, or I looked on like Harry and Kieran's thing, and they had like self-assessment forms, or maybe they made it a Google form where they're like what was all that stuff, which we didn't get into, and so it felt very hard to like see a how do you think you did kind of assessment, where this is basically.
You would look to the kids. So this is a good
this is like the teacher assessment.
So you've identified the kids and you're starting to separate who they are and you're grouping them to make teams level, but you're also grouping them not just on ability but who can get on with who. So there's lots of like through assessment, the teacher changes their pedagogy.
Yeah.
But then the next step is, how do I get kids involved and aware of their own progress?
Yeah.
Is the assessment that you're
Yeah. So what we ended up doing was more of the it's like playing. So on one hand, we can give them feedback and say, this is what you're doing. But in the games, you say, okay, if you win a game, you progress to the control hit.
Right.
And that's trying to get them
Give
to
them
be
it
like,
right.
I'm not at the stage where I can do a control hit, so I'm still working on.
So they are making a self-assessment.
Yeah.
By making a choice. And part of what you've got them doing is, I need to challenge my opponent.
Yeah.
By doing something where I can play to challenge them.
Yeah.
Not play the same as them.
Yeah.
But play in a way that challenges my opponent.
Right.
That becomes a big idea.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm creating a more inclusive environment by being more responsive to what I can do, rather than pretending I can't do it and then getting upset when I can't get the ball over, which is ruining the game for them. They want to play with me.
Right.
Right? But if I can get the ball going back, even if they're better than me, now they're challenged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And that was starting to happen because I saw one where the girl was self-hitting and the guy was straight hitting.
Yeah.
And she was moving him all over the place. And you could tell he was like...
yeah.
Right?
Actually playing a game.
He was playing hard.
Yeah.
Right? Because she wasn't like hitting the ball and making a mistake. She was like and he was going and he was just hitting it straight, right? Because he wasn't going to do that self-touch thingy.
Yeah.
But you could see that if he started to lose, he probably would be tempted, right? Right?
Totally.
Because she was making him run.
Yeah. So that's...
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So that's a great understanding, and you're seeing assessment as not always documented, but where kids are making choices.
Yeah.
But then next thing would be, how do I help kids be aware that their choices have positively affected the learning of their peers?
Yeah, totally.
Because then they'll do it in the playground, and because they see it as a tool, right? That they are understood.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So little changes, but overall great. And then I would, because this looks good, put that stuff into your personal and just re-embed it. So you can share this
so
about
all of these.
Yeah, anything that comes from your UVic one, just download it, stick it in your personal, and just change the link.
Yeah.
Right? And then it'll embed the same, but then you can share that page with anybody.
Yeah.
And they can see it.
Totally.
Right? So that just communicates either sharing with someone else ideas, or if you're applying for a summer job and you want to show your ability to teach.
Right. Totally.
Right?
Totally.
Yeah, because it's good. You've done a nice job. And I like how you took up the Tennis Canada stuff, because
it was really helpful.
Yeah,
I think it was their PDF had all the drills explained out and videos of them on YouTube. It was like, okay, let me see how it looks like, and just
gives you the idea.
Easiest thing in the world. Yeah, it was amazing.
And I go down to Oak Bay because they play tennis a couple times, and there's kids playing like the kids on the video.
Yeah.
And I can see they've learned through the progression with their self-hit, because they're like, put the rackets back before the ball bounces, they follow through, and back to home base. And then it's like, you can see that they've really, but they're doing it without the self-hit. But they've gone through the process, because their rally is so intentional, right? And their structure of their strokes is really clearly they're using the fundamentals.
Right.
So it's just great seeing it as a, and these are like same age your kids, like 10, 11-year-olds.
Crazy.
They're going to play for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Right? And they're probably all trying to play tournaments, but they're going to play the rest of their lives because they're bought into the whole game.
Yeah.
Great. So any feedback for me on the course? Wrap up? What worked particularly well for you?
What worked well was I loved the classroom setting, how everything went, what we talked about. Like you're it's like everything we talked about, we could clearly see from your examples.
Good.
Where you would actually demonstrate the things we talked about and learned in the books and in the quizzes. Yeah. So that was like very helpful. It was like, oh yeah, I actually did see that he did this. Or how many times Jalem and I were like, well, when Tim taught us, we did these things. Oh yeah, well let's do that.
Nice.
So that was unbelievable work. Like top of the standard of a tool belt of teaching styles.
I love teaching styles.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time to actually learn them, and then when I started learning them, it becomes my thing to think with, and there are instructional models as well, but then you're planning more than just the lesson. It's like, okay, this is part of something bigger,
right?
And they fascinate me because they change the curriculum from a content focus to the competencies that kids are learning because of the content, which is so in line with our new curriculum. I'm thinking, holy moly,
this makes sense.
These things could really work with each other really well.
Totally.
Which I'm hoping phys ed programs will move in that direction more and more, because they'll be going in the direction of the whole school is trying to move education rather than high-stake tests.
Yeah. Totally.
Did the quizzes work for you? The multi-times?
They did. I don't know if it was a loophole, but at the bottom of the form, when it says like send myself the image of this form, my first try I would always go through and like see, like, okay, what does this actually quiz? What does the quiz actually look like? And make some guesses, and then I would just send it to myself and put it up against the book and like read it with and almost answer the quiz word for word from the book itself.
That was my intent.
Yeah, and it's very helpful.
And my intent was scaffolding you to read the damn thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to apply it in class, but I need you to have the language in your head.
Yeah, totally.
So then the examples in class connect to the language. That's my intent.
Yeah, and I did find because I think the first one I did really late or like on the deadline. And then like previous classes is like, I have no idea what Tim's talking about. And then I did it, and then the next one was like, oh yeah, of course. Like,
good.
I did so much myself.
Good. That was my first time doing it that way, so that's good to hear.
I think it was good. Yeah.
And I tell you, I changed the question sometimes. People went early and I went, that didn't work. I'll just reword the question. I'm asking the same concept. The way I've asked it is obviously not triggering people to answer the way I want.
Totally.
So I changed the question.
Yeah.
That's a great way of writing a question. Right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it stops the way where you write a question and then you basically